The West has become a coddled and pampered society. In the world of 2022, with a life far removed from the harsh realities of evolution and natural selection, modern society has developed a dangerous reverence for weakness. Traditional masculinity and values which helped our ancestors gather courage, hunt mammoths, survive calamities, and protect their tribes is being broken down and ridiculed. This over-nurtured society is now worshipping something else: feminine weakness. Physical frailty, mental fragility, being offended, being politically correct, and always feeling right. You have not much of a choice. If a man dares rear his head and refuse to comply, he is punished by the Matrix, by the reigning social order that wants to quell his masculinity. If you display assertiveness, politically incorrect opinions, traditional masculinity, or an appreciation for patriarchal norms, you'll be cancelled, denied a platform, and even refused access to equal justice. Do you not see the rise of cancel culture? Do you not see that it is only those on the right that are victims of it? The Overton window has shifted far to the left, and anyone not mouthing socialist, feminist, and postmodern agendas is cast out from popular discourse. So how can we explain this radical shift to weakness? Let's look at how men are biologically wired to view women. Masculinity is about conquest and power, only to acquire the admiration of the feminine, and femininity is the window for men to continue their genetic existence. Men build skyscrapers, die in wars, and toil away at dead-end jobs for years for a chance to remain part of the genetic pool. As Jordan Peterson says, men arrange themselves in hierarchies, trying desperately to ascend them, while women just peel off the top. But here's the predicament of modern society. Women have become part of this hierarchy. Masculine and feminine values are now competing for public space, and all of this is happening in a world that is the richest and most materially fulfilled it has ever been in human history. The perfect storm, the perfect recipe for a new kind of social order where traditional masculine values have taken a back seat. It's the kind of appeasement to weakness that is characterized of this new social order. Free speech is squashed for fear of offending people. Socialist and redistributionist economic policies are subsidizing a complacent lifestyle. Children are being told to rebel against their parents' teachings in favor of new utopian ideals. So-called positive discrimination and affirmation action policies are clawing at the knees of society by getting rid of our meritocracy. You are told that it's okay to be average, it's okay to be weak, it's okay to not match up, it's okay if you don't want to struggle, it's okay not to play life's competitive game. See what this is? Society is being fed the mommy's message without the daddy's message. We are coddled and woefully unprepared for the harsh, cold realities of life. Don't be thinking that this is global. It is only in the rich West where these ideas are taking root and have become mainstream. All over the world, especially in the emerging Eastern powers, they are feeding the opposite message to their youth. Values of strength, courage, tolerance, stoicism, and struggle despite all odds is what China, Russia, and India are teaching their children. You must observe and extrapolate. You must see this trend and see where it leads to. The feminine ideal and the new social order is chipping away at our meritocracy and our vital moral values. What do you think will happen when institutions in our sciences, our space programs, and our education system face the damage caused by policies like affirmative action? What will happen when competence is pushed aside in favor of impractical ideas of total equity? Remember one thing, there is no such thing as positive discrimination. The moment you positively discriminate for individual on the basis of a particular trait, you negatively discriminate against another individual for another trait. But unfortunately, an inequity in our society is being seen as an inequality, an injustice that must be removed, a wrong that must be set right. What do you think will happen when this message is bombarded to the youth constantly for years? Well, I think I have the answer. When social programming meets biological reality, biology always wins. Men are built for combat, conquest, and competition. This is the ethos that drives societal evolution, makes inventions, fight wars, and conquers lands. Women are built for nurture, emotional care, warmth, and a motherly solace. That might sound sexist, my friend, but reality is sexist. Evolution is sexist. The feminine mindset that has invaded the public space has diluted the pure masculine competitive ethos needed to keep the West powerful. Take the example of an army frontline. Why do you think we don't need women in the military front lines fighting against the enemy? Is it because of centuries of patriarchal dominance, gender inequality, social injustice, or is there something deeper at play? Yes, there is. It is our innate biology, and we don't need to twist and turn or compromise on important issues just to prove some politically correct point to ourselves. The moment you put women in a battalion of men, you disturb the masculine dynamics of the force. You dilute the focus that men have on a singular task. Men have visceral responses to a woman in trouble that we don't have for men. Our instinct for provisioning and protecting, our sympathy and sexual competition are all things that get in the way when men and women fight together in combat. Am I sounding horribly sexist? Well, too bad. I'm simply laying out the core facts that have existed under the rug for centuries and have only now become a point of contention. The fact remains that nature is the ultimate arbiter of what's true, who survives and who is perished, not us. Death decides who will live. The death of billions of our ancestors has decided that a strong masculinity coupled with a nurturing femininity is the most productive way to raise a viable human society, bring up children, and live long enough to leave a legacy behind. Perhaps some people, backing up in their comfortable chairs in an air-conditioned room with a fridge full of nutritious food, will have an easy time pointing fingers and complaining about strong masculinity and berating men for so-called toxic masculinity. But the only reason they can say that is because of the countless deaths of people who were weak, coddled, and believed in the kind of weak feminine society some people today want to set up. It is this constant message of weakness that is now swinging people to the opposite end. This is why people like Andrew Tate have exploded in popularity among young men. They are desperately hungry for this message. The message that it's okay to be a man, that it is in fact necessary to be a strong one. The reassurance that you as a young man can be a lot more than you currently are, if you only work hard enough. The message that you must overcome your emotions and take responsibility. The message that you're not a toxic man simply because you want to go to the gym and have a strong physical presence. The message that your masculine urge for relationships and sex is not something to be berated, insulted, and belittled. This is the message that men are seeking. When you bottle up men's innate desires and natural instincts, they will eventually find a channel to escape. And feminists may urge that the rise of the red pill and the popularity of the internet male influencers is harmful to society. But it is to them who bought modern men to seeking and revering these figures. Figures like Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate, Rollo Tomassi. These are people serving the antidote to the poison of weakness being shoved down men's throats. The internet has allowed young men to look for answers, find others in similar predicaments, and eventually come across people they finally feel they can look up to. The patriarchal figure they never had, the strong masculine role model they never knew they needed. Young men are being shown the light. Gym memberships are piling up, and young men are starting to realize where their true meaning lies. And that is in strength, courage, and responsibility, not weakness, victimhood, and complacency. The internet is the biggest resource of young men to find their meaning, and it is channels like this that make that possible. We need you to fight to reclaim masculinity from the jaws of decadent weakness. So subscribe and like the video so that the YouTube algorithm knows what this is exactly, the kind of message that you're looking for.